believers from other religions, so they can expand their support base and recruit new members. Therefore, this session, I think, is the most important topic to be discussed. Moreover, during the last 2 years, when the globe disrupted by COVID-19 and all physical restriction applied to all of us, the role of media become more important. And again, also for the extremist group. Extremist group in Indonesia create opportunities to influence people by using the new media to exploit community uncertainty and disrupt and call for the violence actions. Therefore, the pandemic has become a new challenge for local counter-radicalization effort in one hand. But on the other hand, this situation increased the importance of online effort to combat violent extremism narrative. Indonesian media have been encouraged to promote positive content as a way to combat VE narrative, even though research is still needed about their outcome. Hence, given the following of VA in online sphere during the pandemic, our discussion today will also cover the strategy of Islamic media in spreading Islam as a peaceful religion narrative, in preventing violent extremism in 4 different countries, which are Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, and Tunisia. And today, for this discussion, we already have representative speakers. The first is Mbak Alisa Kotrunada Munawaroh Wahid, or well known as Mbak Alisa Wahid. She is well known as by her activism on cultural, religious, and interreligious dialogue as in Gus Durian Network. As a daughter of President Abdurrahman Wahid, or Gus Dur, she also preserved and nurtures the legacy of her father on cultural, religious, and vast-ranging of ideas. The second speaker is Siti Samsiatun MA PhD. Siti Samsiatun is a member of Aisyah Research and Development Institute. She obtained her PhD on political science, Monash University in Australia. She also ex-director of Indonesian Consortium for Religious Studies. Her expertise covering gender studies and contemporary Islamic society. Her articles, books, and writing available on various platforms nationally or internationally. The next speaker is Fauzia bin El Ghali. She is a lecturer of SUS University, Tunisia. She got her PhD in Arabic literature. Besides that, she also focused on criticizing the literature of civilization topic. She becomes a teacher and mentor in writing for students who focus on skill and piercing and developing studies thought. She is also an active author in journal and books, which are in 2001 the books of Prophet attributes in Darul bin Arabi. Also in 2022, the book Women and the Role of Women and Religion, Darul Arab Tunisia. The next speaker is Dr. Asim Naim. He is an associate professor in Islamic Studies at Institute of Islamic Studies at University of the Punjab, Lahore. He got his doctoral in University of Science Malaysia with the topic juristic trend in tafsir literature. He has 22 years professional teaching experience, such as in conference, seminars, and workshop, both international and national. He's also an author, a researcher that has published many research with tafsir, hadith, shirah, also Islamic practices. He was awarded the second prize in Malakot Sirot National Sirah Award, Government of Pakistan, as well as got the Best Teacher Award at the Government Postgraduate College, Bakar. The last speaker is Mohammed Rashidi. He Mohammed Rashidi originated from Ipoh, Perak, Malaysia. He graduated from School of Sharia Islamiyah Studies, frequently on air on radio shows discussing in universities, and wrote in numerous media about Maqasid Sharia, public figure, and thinking and movement of Islam in Nusantara. Several media such as Kompas and Suara Muhammadiyah uh, publish his instinct and analysis. Muhammad Rashidi is a president as well as a co-founder of Lestari Hikmah, cultural and intellectual activism for foster multi-stakeholder engagement concerning culture, history, and education in Malaysia, Singapore, and also in Indonesia. But before we come to the speakers, let's start with the keynote speech by our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Aisikam. He is an expert advisor of INFID. He is
Recording
also
stopped. Recording in progress.
he is also the the previous state minister for research, science and technology of the Republic Indonesia in era Gus Dur. But before we start, I want to give an announcement for uh, ladies and gentlemen and this seminar. I want to thank you for the online international seminar. This seminar is space for everyone, all participants, and all participants are prohibited to make discriminative comment. This seminar will be interpreted in Bahasa, in Arab language, and sign language. The seminar is using webinar mode. Every participant will be muted. Use the Q&A section at the bottom right of the screen to type the question. The question will be answered in question and answer sessions. Make sure that make sure to use the Zoom application and have installed the updated version, and how to use the language interpretation. The seminar will be held in English, and then you can click the globe logo at the right button of your screen. Click the language that you'd like to hear. There is the option of Indonesia, I suppose. And then, however, the attendees, most of them are Indonesian, so feel free to use your language, I think. And let's hear the speaker with the keynote speech by our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. A.S. Hikam. The time and place for you. Silakan, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Distinguished panelists and all participants of the seminar, thank you for having me today in this very important event, an international conference whose theme is building international cooperation to reinforce commitment and practices of Islam as Rahmatan lil Alamin. It is a joint cooperation between International NGO Forum on Indonesian Development, best known as INFID, Nahdlatul Ulama, and Muhammadiyah. Three of them are major and influential society organizations in the nation. INFID, for example, has become one of the most highly respected NGOs since its inception in the 1980s, while Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah have been world renowned as two largest Islamic organizations in Indonesia and also in the world. In my understanding, the conference theme has portrayed the sense of urgency, not only felt by all Indonesian citizens in general and the Islamic Ummah of the country in particular, but also beyond them, which is the entire international community and the global Ummah. It has, for time and again, underscored the truism that extreme violent practices perpetrated by certain group whose political ideologies based upon misinterpretation of religious teachings and manipulation of religious narrative have for more than 2 decades horrified and threatened the world and humanity. Those extreme violent practices have resulted in a huge number of human fatalities that are unlike that of the current deadly COVID-19 pandemic. But more than the pandemic, such extreme violent practices have also brought about the destruction of property, human dignity, human sanity, and also the degradation of human civilization. One of the devastating consequences has been that both Islam and the Muslims around the globe have become sort of the accused and victims, physically and psychologically at the same time. Furthermore, they have been forced to endure all kinds of denigration and vilifications as if the two are ultimate source of whatever catastrophic event just occurred, and therefore they must take the sole burden of responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, at least for more than 2 decades, the global community and Ummah have engaged in the ongoing struggles for combating extreme violent practices, even if the efforts have arguably been painstakingly slow and difficult. In my humble opinion, one of the most persistent problems has come from the fact that there has been a wide gap between the religious narrative of peace and the reality of violent extremism originated from inside and outside the Ummah itself. The need to narrow down the gap between the two seems to be one of the most pressing tasks to demonstrate that to humankind that Islam is the religion that becomes Rahmatan lil Alamin, or the blessing for the universe and humankind. And it is to be based upon the reality of the Muslim Ummah throughout the world. Here, the role of the media is very pivotal. In a world that has become globalized, the role of media in disseminating information from the source to the audience, particularly in the current volatile situation, is essential. The notion of real-time information sharing can be one of the key factors in determining our efforts to establish national, regional, and global networks to mitigate the ever-flowing of distorted information in the forms of fake news, propaganda, hoax, etc., etc. However, the media itself does not exist in a vacuum. Political, economic, and sociocultural realities on the ground cannot be ignored, and they would eventually appear in the media and known by the public, no matter how sophisticated the former in trying to hide and manipulate the truth. Distinguished conference participants, I do hope that all distinguished speakers of this particular session would address the intricacies and complexities associated with the role of media in this global environment with much detailed manner, based on their academic eminence, experience, as well as their wisdom. The purpose of which is mobilizing and strengthening our efforts in curbing extreme violent practices that have been remaining a real threat to humanity. Of particular importance is the issue of extremist violent practices perpetrated among the predominantly Muslim country where structural injustices in its broadest sense have been rampant and remain unresolved. So much so that even we might have access to the most sophisticated media or the most powerful control over it, but without addressing and narrowing down such a gap between the narrative of peaceful religion and the existing reality of structural injustice, there will be no effective way to solve our human misery, including extreme violent practices. Distinguished panelists, in closing, allow me to quote the Quran, Surah 49, Al-Hujurat, or the Chambers, from verse number 6. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. O you have believed, if there comes to you a disobedient one with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and become, over what you have done, regretful. So may Allah bless all of us. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin, and thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak A.S. Hikam, for the speech. For the next session is the next speaker. The first speaker will be Ibu Alisa Wahid, and she will have 10 minutes to explain to us about the topic. The time is yours, Bu Alisa.
Thank you, Mas Rozali. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, morning, evening to all of you everywhere around the globe who are now attending this session, or even or at least watching this on YouTube or any other channel. Thank you, Mas Rozali, for asking me to start after an excellent speech by Dr. Hikam. Thank you for the opening remarks, and that was a call to our discussion. So I will focus more on the implementation or strategic issues of building narrative instead of talking about the what do you call it, the content of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin itself, the concept of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin itself, because I'm sure there has been other leaders talking about that within the conference. So can the organizer help me to start with the PowerPoint, or should I?
No.
Okay.
It's been yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry. I prepared the PowerPoint in Indonesian, but I'll try to speak fully in English. So this is the role of media in promoting narratives of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin. Next. Pa Hikam already mentioned that media is really, really important. Malcolm X said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth, especially right now with information technology, because they control the minds of the masses. And if we look at the current situations in terms of narratives spreading around in Indonesia or in the world, we know that the moderate Muslims or the more progressive and human rights oriented narratives are 2 steps or 3 steps behind the narratives of, or at least the outreach of the more hardline, extreme, or exclusivistic narratives of Islam in the world, because of our inability to to compete within the information technology, because we know that there is a change in the power or the outreach of the media channel. Televisions, at least in younger generations, they are accessing informations more from handphones and smartphones. TV is still big; it's 46%, but more and more people are accessing television content on their smartphones. Next. So smartphones is really, really important. Next, please. I think it's freezing. Is it me or? Okay. So smartphone, social media is really important, at least in Indonesia, because I'll be speaking on the Indonesian context. We know that the mobile connections in Indonesia is more than total population of Indonesia. But we also know that we still have this inequality of access. So we have more access of more people accessing information technology on the western part of Indonesia. That means in western part of Indonesia, more and more people using more than one connection, and it's in Indonesia that's so usual. But this shows how big the penetration of mobile users in Indonesia and information technology. Next. With that information technology aspect, when we look at the population of Indonesia, the demographic population of Indonesia, since 2020, we have new generations of Muslims who are coming of age, who are now in the bracket of productive years. We have around 30 million members. Members of the Muslim community in Indonesia, and they have certain characteristics. We call them millennial, and of course, they're more middle class, more urban. They live in urban areas, and that leads to a change of the what do you call it, the cultural aspects of the population itself. Next. This is what we see. Because they are urban, they are more used to technology, information technology, and they have higher income. They live in middle class family. Because of that, they have high buying power, and we know that when people have high buying power, they know that the choice is theirs. Not like before, when I was growing up, for example, I didn't get to choose the source of information that I get. But right now, the younger generations, they have alternatives, and they are tech savvy, and at the same time, they're more more religious. So this is the characteristic of the Indonesian Muslim right now. Next slide, please. And because they're more religious, it turns out that Indonesian Z generation, compared to other countries around the world, the Indonesian Z generation think that religion is really important for their happiness. You know, tech savvy, religion is important. They're religious. They have high buying power. They can decide who they listen to, and that leads to the narratives that we are going to need to address. Next slide. So this is the mapping of narratives that Gus Durian Network Indonesia did in 2016, and we're still finding it relevant up until now. This is the extreme narratives in social media and internet, in Indonesian internet sphere. The grand narrative is actually about the world is divided into two camps, the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Democracy was developed by the non-Muslim to destroy the Muslim, and the Indonesian Muslim society is actually not pure enough. So we need to have a purification. This is the narratives that we find in Indonesian internet sphere. Yeah, that's why identity politics is rampant in Indonesia. The depiction of Muslim, a true observer of Muslim is decided by the clothes, by their appearance, by their positioning on political issues, and so on and so forth. So that is why the call to action is for Muslims to purify Islam. And because the Muslims are majority in Indonesia, we have to take the power, and then every Muslim should take the jihad to defend Islam and to what do you call it? To fight against the injustices that is happening to the Muslim community in Indonesia. That is the narratives, the framing that we see in Indonesian social media, especially. Next. And where does it come from? It comes from these two paradigms of Islamic practices. This is religious practices as a whole, not only in Islam, but we are seeing more and more of these two paradigms in Indonesia. This is a theory by Professor Shafi'i Anwar. Professor Shafi'i Anwar is a Muhammadiyah intellectual. He said that in Indonesia, we have two paradigms of Islamic practices. The first one is the substantive, inclusive practices of Islam, that believes that Islam, Rahmatan lil Alamin, means that Islam should be the blessing to every creature on this earth. And that is why we need to be inclusive. The other paradigm, which is getting stronger in Indonesia, is actually the exclusivistic, legal, formalistic practices of Islam, that believes that Muslims are the rightful owner of this earth because we are the chosen one, and we need to have a distance. We have to distance ourselves with other people because we need to purify Islam, and to be able to practice Islam kafah, we need to legalize and formalize all these Islamic teachings into a set of positive law in Indonesia. Next slide. I'm really sorry, I'm rushing. The question is, what what is going on? Why does the narrative of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin, which is very, very big, this is the elephant, this is bigger than the ant, right? But on social media, the stronger one is the ant, the narrative of exclusivism. What's going on? Next. From Robbie Muhammad, I get this information about the moral foundation theory. Robbie Muhammad is a social scientist from Universitas Indonesia. He asked me to read this book by Jonathan Haidt, The Righteous Mind, and in this book, Jonathan Haidt covers the how the narratives is from the conservative usually is more appealing because they are touching the moral foundations of every human being. There are six moral foundation: caring, harming, fairness, cheating, loyalty, betrayal, authority, subversion, sanctity versus degradation, and the last one is liberty versus oppression. Next slide. This is the examples of each moral foundation: caring versus harming. When you talk about Gaza in Palestine, stop killing in Gaza. This is about caring, right? This is about someone who is caring about Gaza is considered as a person with moral. And then the second one is loyalty versus betrayal. This is a billboard in Madura. It says that because Madura is the land of the prophet, then the seculars, the liberals, the Shiite, they are not allowed to step on the soil of Madura. And then fairness versus cheating, I took this Black Lives Matter example. Sanctity versus degradation, make America great again. This is a one story. Authority versus subversion. This is an anecdotal evidence from Indonesia. Don't criminalize ulama because ulama is the authority of our religion. And the last one, freedom versus oppression. Next slide. This is the narratives that are the examples of the moral foundations. Like, for example, kasih sayang, caring. We have to defend the Muslims who are under oppression in Palestine because they are our brothers and sisters. And harming, our kids should not be allowed to be friends with people from different religion, different faith, because it will put them in danger of losing their faith in Islam. That's the example, and so on and so forth. Like the last one, this one is authority versus subversion. We have to obey our religious leader, our Islamic leaders, because they are representative of God. And subversion. This is about state is criminalizing ulamas in Indonesia, and that is why we have to fight against the government. This is the examples. Next slide. Next slide, please. And just continue. So what we need to do is to build effective narratives, because it's not enough just flooding the internet with messages, but we need to be able to build an effective one. And to be able to do that, we need to make sure that we know what to say, we know how to say it, and we know how to spread it. Because how to say is about the using these moral foundations that I already covered before. And what to say is, of course, about the content of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin. And the third one is the strategy. What are the strategies that we can use to elevate our narratives? Next slide. Moving forward, we need to have more people, more Muslims believing in Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin. We have to increase their capacity in working on this issue, and then we have to build the narrative with a very thorough and sophisticated design, just like the proponents of the exclusivistic legal formalistic ideas. And we need to flood the internet media with the narratives, and then we also need to strengthen the social media and Islamic media channels of Islam. I think that's my last message. Next slide. This is just examples of how we can manage to build viral content. This one is about about Rianto, one Banser who were killed in defending the Church of Ebenezer in Christmas Mass. He took the bomb in his arm, and then he was killed because of that. These narratives, human aspects, if we can do that, we will be able to reach the heart of the people. Next slide. I think these are just some examples of the narratives that we are trying to build in Indonesia, but we need more effort. We need to work harder, because we know that with media, with information technology, this is a race. How to win the heart and the head of Muslims around the globe, and it's up to us. Like what Gus Dur said, if there are people giving Islam bad names, then we should be the one teaching them that Islam is Rahmatan lil Alamin. I think that's all, Mas Rozali, from me. Thank you so much, and looking forward for the discussion later on. Thank you. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Mbak Alisa. Such an interesting speech, topic that delivered by one of chairwoman of Nahdlatul Ulama. Mbak Alisa explained to us about the internet user, how large internet user, especially in the Z generation in Indonesia, which are they rich, can buy anything, and then they listen to, because they think that religion is the most important thing, and it affect to their life. But the question is, to whom are they listen to about the religion? Are they listen to our platform that have been developed by Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin topic, or the other side? That's the interesting question. And Mbak Alisa also explained to us about how they twisted the narrative, like playing victim and everything, like they criminalize our ulama, the government criminalize our ulama. Don't get close to other religion person because it's dangerous, and there will be apa namanya perkawinan beda agama and other stuff that not allowed by our religion. That interesting to open our discussion topic. I remember one. This is the story in Indonesia that already have been raised by Mbak Alisa, and we will go to next speaker. Our next speaker is Ibu Ibu Siti Samsiatun. Halo Ibu Siti Samsiatun, apa kabar? How are you?
Hello, Mas Razali. Very good, thank you.
Okay, Ibu Siti Samsiatun will have like 10 minutes. I think feel free to speak whether in Arabic or English because we have interpreter here.
How about Indonesian?
I think we have interpreter here, so they can do their job.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Good afternoon from Indonesia. Good morning everywhere to maybe good evening to friends, colleagues around the world. We already listened to Mbak Alisa and previously from Dr. Hikam, and I'm very grateful to their presentation. And it's happened, it doesn't really similar to mine because I tried to make a case with the to the women organization. So I would like to ask the administrator to to show the PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay. Could we only have like 10 minutes, so I'm will be fast. Yeah. Strategic role of media have been acknowledged by people from ages because media has always been important to spreading knowledge, sciences, information in each and all ages, in all matters, including religion. And digital-based media has its strengths and challenges in our contemporary world with regard to contesting ideas, values, teaching of Islam, as highlighted by previous speakers very clearly. We have used many different kind of media, but the digital media has very strong, very specific characteristic compared to our previous media that we do have, like the printed media, books, magazine, etc. And the digital media has the nature of its velocity on real time, very fast, spreading, instant, and it can reach people around the world without a delay, easiness in our finger. We just need to click, 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 and it's, it's a real opportunity, but it also poses a real threat to us. Next. For this presentation, I would like to showcase Muhammadiyah Wins Media, Suara Aisyah. Suara Aisyah first published a magazine, it's called Suara Aisyah, in 1926. So it's during the colonial time, and it's continuing, publishing until today. And so, Nasyatul Aisyah, the Suara Aisyah, have been awarded a Muri Record, the Museum of Record Indonesia, among the most consistent, the long-standing Muslim women magazine, first in Indonesia, but then after a few minutes, Muri Record decided or established that Suara Aisyah is the longest media, the most consistent in publication in the world. So for that, I think it's very important to see. Next slide, please. Yeah, we can see what is in there. Yeah, if anyone have the opportunity to read, to visit Suara Aisyah, it consistently showcasing, it's consistently spreading the voice of Islam, which are very friendly, which are merciful to everyone, especially to women. You can imagine during the colonial time, where women were denied access to any public education, employment, health, etc. Suara Aisyah already voiced that importance of women's rights. So during its course of history, Suara Aisyah, this magazine, have delivered many kind of literacy, yeah, from literacy to combat illiteracy in Arabic, in Latin, then literacy of nationhood, literacy of gender equality, literacy of education, culture, and right now they are also working on the digital literacy. As you see from the flyer here, what it says, kuasai teknologi sekarang juga. Yeah? So we have to control the technology right now. So Suara Aisyah also adapts to the new challenges, to the new era, from fully printed media to move to digital based media. So Suara Aisyah right now have different kind of forms, from printed to the digital form, and it also can be followed through their social media, you know, Facebook, Instagram, podcast, etc., etc. Continue, please. Next. Yeah, I think we need to appreciate that it is consistent in targeting young to senior women and family in particular, and general audience from first its edition in 1926 to present without gap. So, Mas Rosali, you haven't been born. Maybe your mother hasn't been born yet. And the content is also have a consistency. It's addressing Islamic ethics, practical worship and teaching, and various literacies, as I mentioned before. And it's also adapt to the new era and challenges. Next, please. Next, I would like also to highlight that I do agree with the finding of Mbak Alisa just now, that women are very active in social media and they are very religious. However, we need to encourage them to practice, to learn about ethics in media and also skills, because sometimes they're just interested in the content spreading and they don't know how to verify the content. Next, please. According to several research, yeah, as mentioned just now also by Mbak Alisa, during the pandemic era, there were increased misogynist content, yeah, content that tried to criminalize or try to stereotype women, yeah, and the increase is 25%, yeah, during the pandemic. More visitors to conservative sites than progressive ones. So we know that NU Online have 100,000 of visitors, but there are also other sites of the conservative Islam who have more visitors than us. And Muhammadiyah website is only visited by very few. So we need to strengthen that. Yeah, sites of conservative Muslim are visited 10 times more than the moderate and progressive ones. Yeah, that is in the next slide, please. And there also increased conservatism among the youth. Yeah, conservatism in digital media among Muslim reached 67.2%. Yeah, and they said that the outlook is conservative, but these young youth, they don't like to do the worship. so it's they're lazy to do the worship, you know, like the prayers, etc. But on the other mindset, on the public engagement, they are very conservative. So it's rather confusing sometimes. And women tend to be more active in religious activities, yeah, events, yeah, in the content. So compared to youth, compared to men, yeah, adult women, they are more active. maybe they like to share, yeah. They just click and share, click and share, yeah. So this is kind of characteristic that have an opportunity in a way, but also a threat in another. How to create this an opportunity? We need to educate women, about this skill. So I think the Ministry of Information and Technology already work together with Aisyah, with Muslimat NU, with NU, and with other women organization, try to increase the skill of women in this area. There are also a lot of messages from Muhammadiyah and Aisyah about creating content of merciful Islam. And we do a lot of trainings to these women. What is difficult is sometimes many women are very active in speaking and talking, but in writing, we need, more encouragement. Many women don't like to write, so we need to, to educate them to write the content that is enlightening. Muhammadiyah, the Majlis, the Council of Religion, Majlis Tarjih dan Tajdid, already issue several guidance for its members, to its women and other general members, that I would like to just read the 9 of them. Yeah, first is about Siddiq in the information, that all information in our content must be based on truth. Tawazun, balance, yeah, reading and taking into account both sides of information and sources. Sometimes when we like to one person or one organization and dislike the others, we tend to just looking at the ones that we do like and disregard the others. So we need to do tawazun, so we know what the argumentation of the both sides. Also tabayun, make clarification to the source of the content. Sometimes we do forgot to do this. And huriyah, but we also give freedom for us, so everybody to learn to access information for the purpose of common good in accordance to the law. Adalah, justice in attitude and action to people. Sometimes when we don't like to a group, we also judge them as un-Islamic or kafir or etc. Whereas sometimes when we did wrong, we don't acknowledge about our shortcomings. So we need to do justice. Tabligh, that is convey necessary information, even though it is different from the popular one. Yeah. In particular, like when we are in certain situation about issue on, for example, on corruption, issue on sexual violence, etc., where maybe many mainstream, they don't like to talk about violence against women, but we need to talk about that because we know the victims. Yeah, amanah, accountability in management and organizing the media and content. So I think Mas Rozali, you are the management of in the management of TV and for instance, and other media partners here, like eBay Times, etc., etc. We need this kind of accountability. Fatona, that is smart, have the sensitivity, wise, smartness in presenting the message or content with regard to the target groups, the audience, yeah. But also we need al-jarh wa ta'dil, that is like contextualization in verifying the sources as well as information, content, and messages. So in conclusion, I would like to iterate it again that media, especially digital media, is very significant tool to spread merciful Islam, to counter the cruel, inhumane, radical action and radical ideas of Islam. And women, as they are more active in religious activities, they need further training in digital skills and ethics, as well as content creating and writing, so that we can, as Mbak Alisa said, we can flooding the social media with this Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin content. Collaboration in spreading this gospel Islam through various media, printed, digital, are very important. So I think this international seminar that is co-organized by different partners from embassies, from ministries, also from NGOs, INFIT, Muhammadiyah, NU is very good. And the last one is very important too. Diligence, persistence, and consistency are necessary. And I think the case of Suara Aisyah with a diligent, persistent, and consistent from 1926 to present day need to be carried. So this is the end of my presentation. Fastabilqul khairat, nasrun minallah wa fathun qarib. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How the presentation, Ibu Siti Samsiatun explained a lot of things to us. For the instance, like how fast the social media or digital media spread their message, become the platform to spread their message, the message widely, globally, without border. So this is the era of the borderless, actually, by the digital media. I remember the story about how the difference between Al Qaeda and ISIS, book. The different when the ISIS strike the terror, ISIS only I'm sorry, Al Qaeda only can collaborate with few of people, but ISIS, with the help of digital media, they can call people from around the world. So massive that what happened. That's Amrozi explained to me one time. So this is an interesting. The point. One of the point is um, the interesting fact that the side of conservative Muslim visited 10 times more, but the other side, conservative in digital media among Muslim youth reach also increase. Yeah, that's interesting data. I think those two speakers are story from Indonesia. So basically, the story from Indonesia has been explained by Ibu Siti Samsiatun and Mbak Alisa Wahid. I want to highlight you guys by one fact that I think after 2018, the media that developed by youngest of Nahdlatul Ulama member, like such as an online Islami.co and Alif, have been raised and win. They win the competition among the Salafi and Wahhabi media. However, when we talk about digital media, it's not only about the Indonesian circumstances. Sometimes hate speech, a conservative hate speech and other hateful message is also come from other part of country that send it or spread it to Indonesia, and Indonesian young people, or not only young but the oldest people, also believe that happen and then become apa namanya, become hate speech in Indonesia. So this is a good opportunity to talk about how the best practices in Indonesia that already have been discussed by Bu Siti and Bu Alisa, and now we will move to another speaker from another country. I will go to Mohammed Rashidi from Malaysia. I will read once more. Yeah, Pak Rashidi, Mohammed Rashidi, he graduated from School of Sharia Islamia Studies. I think Pak Rashidi will present how about the topic, the interesting topic about how the strategic role of Islamic media, especially in Malaysia or in the Asia, and how I think I wanna put a question. how we may collaborate between between the different countries. Please, Pak Rashidi, but the limited time, we have limited time, like 10 minutes.
5:45. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Infit. Thank you, organizer. Invite me to give a speech today. I think because I think the majority of the participant is Indonesian, so I can speak in English and also in I think in Bahasa also. Okay, baik. Next for my slide. The first slide. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa ma arsalna min rasulin illa bilisani qaumihi liyubayyana lahum. We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them. Surah Al-Ibrahim verse 4. So, based on this ayatul Quran, based on the surah, we can make some qiyas, the similarity, the mutual. What is the language of our people today? What is the object? What is the tools that make the information clearly to us? Then we say that apa yang saya ingin sebutkan bahawa bagaimana para nabi itu diutuskan kepada kaumnya itu berdasarkan lidah, berdasarkan apa yang mudah difahami oleh masyarakat setempat itu. Maka this is about our now studies. Something that make informative clearly, something that make clear information, something that make interesting, which is a media. Okay, next. What influence us? This is something that influence, which is that I said that why the media is important. Why media itu, kenapa media itu sangat penting kepada kita? Why? What influence our life? The first is family. The second is media. The third is teacher, school, alma mater, our university. And the fourth is our environment. Apakah yang mempengaruhi kehidupan kita? What influence us? The first is family, especially our parents. Ini yang mempengaruhi kehidupan kita. Especially then we talk about a media, about Facebook, about Twitter, IG or TikTok or what. This is something that influence our life today, especially the young person. Okay, next. Yeah, this is a statistic for media users. I don't know about Indonesia, about Pakistan, about Tunisia. This I'm focused about my country, about Malaysia. The Malaysia is number 9, the active social media in the world. I think in 24 hours, the Malaysian people use our times around more than 1/3, around 1/3, 8 hours to 12 hours using the social media in our daily life. And the number 5 active in e-commerce, or we call as e-dagang, about Lazada, Shopee and others. These figures, the statistic that I want to show to the participant that the media is something important in our daily life, especially for Malaysian. 1/3 in daily life, 8 hours to 12 hours using social media, Facebook, Twitter, IG and others. Next. The pillar of Islamic media. What is the pillar? What is the rules? The component of Islamic media. Ini sama juga seperti yang disebut oleh the other speakers before. Apabila kita bercakap tentang Islamic media, what is the pillar? What is the component yang mesti ada? The first is tolerance, universal, inclusive, the good communication, thought, creative, critical thinking, and the last one is a solution. when we talk about creativity and also the good communication, before this, I'm from the Sharia studies. Before this, in Islamic University, there's just only Sharia faculty. There is Usuluddin faculties and Arabic faculty. But in 5 years, in our 6 years in some of the Islamic university, we can see there is a new faculty in Islamic university. For example, faculty Sharia and Science, faculty Sharia and IT, faculty Dakwah and Communication. This is something that I think we must welcome, this initiative of some of the Islamic University. Ini seharusnya kita menghargai dan juga kita terima, mengalu-alukan sebahagian daripada Universiti Islam yang menggabungkan pengajian Islam dan juga pengajian moden, seperti wujudnya sains dan juga syariah gunaan, fakulti dakwah dan juga media. Ini something yang saya fikir sangat bagus yang ada di dalam fakulti baru di dalam di Universiti Islam. Next slide. Yeah, this our new book from Professor Ahmed Kuru from the University of San Diego, California, which is will be published in Malaysia. Perikatan Ulama Negara, Punca Autoritarisme dan Kemunduran Dunia Muslim, the States and Ulama Alliance, which is this will be published, akan diterbitkan di Malaysia pada minggu hadapan, pada Februari, on 6 February next week. So, what is the problem in Muslim world, especially in Malaysia? Kan, I think ini satu perkara yang seharusnya kita fikir bersama, dan juga especially for some of the authoritarian country. I think the Malaysia also has some mutual things with Pakistan, especially in issue of racism and issue of religion. In Malaysia, who's control the religion? Who's control what we can speak about the opinion? Who's control? The first is Sultan, the first is king, the second is country, government, and the third is religious authority. This thing, three things that control the religious issue, the race issue in Malaysia. So we have a problem about democracy, we have problem about sectarianism, the issue of Shia, the issue of Ahmadi. This what Prof. Ahmed Kuru said in his book. They also lead to the violation of religious freedom and the oppression of religious dissent. In the case of Muslim world, the Ulama State Alliance has imposed religious restriction to not only non-Muslim but also dissenting Muslim. Ini saya fikir satu perkara yang seharus dunia Islam ambil maklum terhadap perkara ini, tentang inklusif, tentang universal, keterbukaan untuk rakyat memberikan expression kepada apa yang mereka imani. The last one, I have berapa minit lagi? 2 minit, 3 minit. The media advocate, what we can do for the media advocate, the short video, the photography, the books translation, movie, music, e-book for example. Ini saya fikir merupakan satu langkah yang seharusnya kita ambil bersama. Bagaimana media ini sangat dekat dengan anak-anak muda, very close with the young person. So the young person attract with short video. For example, short video from Instagram, short video from TikTok. This for example. Music, for example, the harmony music that campaign about harmony, campaign about inclusive in our life. The photography, for example, photography that campaign anti-racism, like for example, poster. This is something that I think Malaysia can learn from Infid, learn from Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah also, that have their media organizer, their media teams that can advocate about the harmonized campaign about tolerance in Indonesia, for example. Sincerely, I said, kalau nak dibandingkan dengan Malaysia dan juga Indonesia, the problem is about authoritarianism and juga dan about democracy. The problem, the government always control the media. So the media already closed, and the issues for racism, the issue for religion, how we make cause, and selalunya akan menimbulkan masalah kepada penduduk-penduduk, kepada masyarakat di Malaysia. Ini kita akan lanjutkan dalam sesi Q&A yang selepas ini. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Mohammed Rashidi. Interesting presentation about the situation, especially situation in Malaysia. Like you just mentioned in your last presentation, how you deal with the freedom, the control of the government that we don't actually have in Indonesia in some case, but we are facing with the conservative and conservative media so much. Thank you very much. I would like to go to the next speakers. We already have Indonesian presentation and Malaysia presentation. We will go to the Tunisia, to the Dr. Fauzia bin El Ghali. I'm sorry if I misspell. How are you, Ibu Fauzia? You are still muted. Please unmute your Zoom. Yeah. Halo, Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Yeah, what time there? The time and place is yours. Please do your presentation.
شكرا. محاضرتي ستكون باللغة العربية.
نعم طبعا.
عنوانها دور الإعلام الجديد في تشكيل صورة الإسلام رحمة للعالمين. أود أن أقدم لهذا الموضوع أولاً بأن المسلم المعاصر يعيش في عصر تنوعت فيه مصادر المعرفة الدينية. لم تعد المسائل العقدية والتشريعية مقتصرة على ما يتلقاه المسلم في الصبا من الكتاب أو المدرسة، أو فيما بعد في مرحلة متطورة الكتب والمؤلفات وآراء الشيوخ والدعاة إن كان يتعامل مع فضاء افتراضي، بل صار الإعلام بجميع وسائله الآن مسخراً لتبليغ الدروس الدينية والمحاضرات، وأيضاً تغطية الفعاليات التي يعني تنظم في الشأن الديني بصفة عامة. ساهم ما يسمى بالإعلام الجديد، نعني بذلك وسائل التواصل وشبكات الوسائط المتعددة عبر الإنترنت، في تشكيل صورة مخصوصة عن الإسلام حسب الجهة التي تستخدمه. فأي دور لهذا الإعلام الجديد في تشكيل صورة الإسلام رحمة للعالمين؟ وكي نجيب عن هذا السؤال لابد أن نفهم أولاً ماذا يعني أن يكون الإسلام قد جاء رحمة للعالمين. التالي يحيل لفظ الرحمة في النص القرآني على الله والنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام والقرآن، فيصف الله تعالى نفسه بأنه ذو الرحمة في 3 آيات. الآية الأولى هي الموجودة في سورة الأنعام، الآية 133، قوله تعالى: وربك الغني ذو الرحمة. وفي نفس السورة الآية 147، فإن كذبوك فقل ربكم ذو رحمة واسعة. وفي سورة الكهف الآية 58 وربك الغفور ذو الرحمة. أيضا وصف الله نفسه بأنه له كتب على نفسه الرحمة. الله كتب على نفسه الرحمة في آيتين في سورة الأنعام الآية 12 وفي سورة الأنعام نفسها الآية 54. هذا فيما يتصل بالله عز وجل. أما فيما يتصل بالنبي محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام فقد اتصف بالرحمة في 3 آيات. الآية الأولى في سورة التوبة الآية 61 ومنهم الذين يؤذون النبي ويقولون هو أذن قل أذن خير لكم يؤمن بالله ويؤمن للمؤمنين ورحمة للذين آمنوا منكم. في سورة آل عمران الآية 159 فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. السورة الثالثة التي انتشرت واشتهرت أكثر الموجودة في سورة الأنبياء الآية 107 وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. استعمل لفظ القرآن متصلا بالشفاء والرحمة في سورة الإسراء الآية 82 وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. أيضا اقترنت الرحمة بالهدى. من خلال استعراض هذه الآيات يتضح تواتر لفظ الرحمة وعمومه فيما يتصل بالمسائل الكبرى فيما يتصل بالله وبالنبي وبالقرآن. وهذا يدل دلالة مخصوصة على أن هذا الدين في جوهره وفي أقطابه الكبرى إنما هو دين رحمة. التالي كيف فهم المسلمون من الآية آية وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين؟ الفهم تعلق بالتفسير أولا واتخذنا نماذج متعددة، ولكن الطبري باعتباره مفسرا بالمأثور يمثل نموذجا أول يدل على اختلاف أهل التأويل في معنى هذه الآية. أجميع العالم الذي أرسل إليهم محمد أريد بها مؤمنهم وكافرهم أم أريد بها أهل الإيمان خاصة دون أهل الكفر؟ ومهما بلغ الاختلاف في عصر الطبري فإنه لم يتجاوز من هم في عصر النبي حين أرسل. فكيف أصبحت دلالة رحمة للعالمين للناس كافة في كل زمان ومكان؟ والحال أن أهل التأويل منذ القرن الثالث للهجرة قد حصروا هذه الدلالة في من أرسل إليهم النبي دون غيرهم. صاحب التحرير والتنوير بما أننا من تونس الشيخ طاهر بن عاشور يقول تفصيل ما أرسلناك إلا آية إلى رحمة للعالمين يظهر في مظهرين. الأول تخلق نفسه الزكية بخلق الرحمة، ويستشهد بحديث منقول عن عائشة قالت كان خلقه القرآن. والثاني إحاطة الرحمة بتصاريف شريعته، ويضيف خص الله محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم في هذه السورة بوصف الرحمة ولم يصف به غيره من الأنبياء وكذلك في القرآن كله. هذا الفهم المتعلق بالآية نجد له صدى في ما يسمى بالسيرة النبوية في مواقف اشتهر فيها النبي بمواقف رحيمة، منها أنه صبر على أذى قريش خلال فترة الدعوة المكية ولم يدعو عليهم بالهلاك والثبور مثل ما حصل في قصص الأنبياء من قبله، رفضت حتى الدعاء على المشركين في غزوة أحد عندما استشهد عمه حمزة ومزق جسده تمزيقا، وكذلك وقع شج رأس النبي وكسرت رباعيته وغطى الدم جسده، وكان يدعو في مقابل ذلك، في مقابل هذا الأذى: اللهم اغفر لقومي إنهم لا يعلمون. في فتح مكة أيضا سأل من أذوه: ما ترون أني فاعل بكم؟ فأجابوه: خيرا، أخ كريم وابن أخ كريم. فقال لهم ما قاله يوسف لإخوته: لا تثريب عليكم اليوم، يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين، اذهبوا، والتي اشتهرت: اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. التالي: هل تمكن العرب والمسلمون انطلاقا من السيرة التي بيناها وانطلاقا من الخطاب القرآني وما أثر من الحديث، هل تمكن المسلمون العرب وغيرهم خلال 14 قرنا من الزمن من تشييد أمة إسلامية تسودها الرحمة والعدل والحرية والسلام، وهي الرسالة التي تختزنها عبارة أرسل النبي رحمة للعالمين؟ هل أن الخلافة كنظام سياسي منذ نشأتها وخلال مراحل تطورها ضمنت أن تكون هذه الرسالة مجسمة؟ والجواب هذه من الحكم. مثلت أحداث القتل والسبي مثلا في أخبار المغازي والفتوحات مطاعنة على الدعوة الإسلامية وسمت الإسلام بالعنف، وقد أخرجت عن سياق مخصوص لكي تعم الظاهرة بصفة عامة. غلب اختلاف المسلمين على الخلافة وعلى الشأن السياسي، واقتتلوا فيما بينهم إما حربيا عسكريا أو حتى عقديا بالمقارعة بالحجج وبالتصنيفات الكثيرة في هذا الشأن الكلامي. وإلى اليوم نجد صدى هذا الاختلاف، وقد غلب اختلافهم على عنايتهم بترسيخ قيم المحبة والسلام والرحمة في المسلمين. هذا فيما يتعلق بالجانب السياسي والجانب العقدي الكلامي. أيضا في الجانب الاجتماعي الاقتصادي نجد انتشارا كبيرا للفقر في العالم الإسلامي من جهة، وثراء فاحشا لفئة منهم من جهة أخرى. تسبب هذا الانتشار للفقر في العالم الإسلامي في وجود فوارق اجتماعية كرست الحقد والعنف، وأكبر دليل على غياب التراحم بينهم عدم عملهم بالقيم القرآنية وأهمها الرحمة، فلا غنيهم يعطي فقيرهم، ولا نجد العدل الاجتماعي الذي يجعلهم سواسية كأسنان المشط كما هو مأثور في الحديث الشريف. ويتضح من كل ذلك مفارقة بين ما هو منصوص عليه في القرآن وما هو من ثوابت الدين في رسالته السامية وما يوجد ممارسة في الواقع. التالي: فأي دور يمكن أن يلعبه الإعلام الجديد في تشكيل صورة الإسلام رحمة للعالمين؟ بما أن الوضع كما هو عليه، فإننا في العالم نجد حملات تشن على المسلمين تصفهم بالإرهاب، تصفهم بالوحشية، وقد استعرت هذه الحملات خاصة منذ 11 من سبتمبر، وعم العالم ما يسمى بالإسلاموفوبيا. فيجب أن تتجند كافة الجهود لكي نتصدى لهذه الظاهرة الإعلامية عبر خطاب يكرس الإسلام السمح الذي بعث نبينا فيه رحمة للعالمين. ولا يكفي في ذلك خطاب الجدل عن طريق الردود ذي النزعة الدفاعية، وإنما يجب بناء استراتيجية محكمة في تبليغ رسالة الإسلام دين رحمة للعالمين، يقتضي ذلك نشر قيم المحبة والخير والسلام، واستعمال كل ما يتعلق بالوسائط المتعددة والذكاء الاصطناعي وشبكات التواصل فيسبوك، تويتر وغيرها، وتبسيط كل ما يتعلق بهذه الرسالة السمحة من جانب إعلاميا يستعمل فيه كل ما يتعلق بالقصص الديني والقرآني الموجه إما للطفل أو للمسلم البسيط أو للمتحولين دينيا الذين يستغلون من طرف شبكات الإسلام السياسي أبشع استغلال، لأنهم لا يعرفون شيئا عن قيم المحبة السامية التي ظلت الجهود وإن كانت موجودة فهي محدودة ويجب دعمها في ذلك. أهم من جانب التنظيم، جانب يجب العمل على دعم قيم التعاون والرحمة للقضاء على الفقر في العالم الإسلامي، تجسيما لأرقى مبادئه وقطعا للطريق أمام التنظيمات التكفيرية الجهادية هذه الطبقات المهمشة السياسية، وذلك بأن تكرس قيمة الرحمة وقيمة التعاون وقيمة التضامن. ألخص كل ما في عبارتي التالية: إن الإسلام بعث ودين رحمة ودين تعاون ودين رسالته، ممارسة هذه القيم في حاجة إلى الدعم والإعلام الجديد وبوسائطه المتعددة وبقنواته الاتصالية المكثفة التي اخترقت ملايين في العالم، يمكن أن يكون وسيلة ناجحة أحسن استخدامه في تبليغ رسالة الإسلام رحمة للعالم.
شكرا دكتور فوزية بن الغالي. I want to speak in Arabic, but I already forgot how to say it properly, so I will go with English. Jadi, Dr. Fauzia explained us about how Islam as the religion of Rahmatan lil Alamin basically have been disrupted by some various of situations, and she also mentioned about the first presentation was about how Islam today is living in the different circumstances, and she also underlined how Islam is as the religion of Islam Rahmatan lil Alamin, just like how Allah and how Allah said in Al Quran, and how Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has taught us from hadith, and the difference in there are also the difference tafsir, I think, about how about the Quran, and then also she mentioned how the situation of 11 September that become the situation that some of the countries, or how politics in the global, like how we said, labeling Islam as the terrorist and brutal religion. So in the presentation, she also mentioned that basically Islam is the media can do something to restore the image of Islam by doing the movement, by spreading the Islamic, the Rahmatan lil Alamin message, by doing collaboration among the countries, and that basically because in the internet era we can do a lot of things to spread the the message of Islam as Rahmatan lil Alamin widely and globally. And thank you for the explanation, Dr. Fauzia. I will go to the next speaker, which is sorry, who is the next speaker will be Bapak. Sorry. The next speaker is Dr. Asim Naim. He is an associate professor in Islamic Studies at Institute of Islamic Studies, University of the Punjab, Lahore, and I believe Dr. Asim will bring us to the situation how in his country the situation of Islamic media also fight against the stereotype of Islam as the terrorist religion and etc. Uh, Time and place is yours. I hope you can explain in the short time, like 10 minutes. Pak.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Respected and dear participants, respected organizers, I'm highly obliged to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, and then to the organizers who made this occasion, who provided this occasion, where we can discuss, we can think over the major issues of media and culture, which the Muslim countries are practicing, are the problems which the Muslim countries are facing. Surely it is a very useful occasion for us, so that we can benefit, we can use it for our benefits, and we can make it beneficial for all of us. I want to discuss today the combination to the correlation of media and culture and their influences that are positive and negative on the society, and especially in relating to Pakistani society. Hundreds of nations around the world exist with their distinctive cultural characteristics in the different regions of the world. Some nations are distinguished by similarities in their cultural characteristics, such as Arab countries, such as African countries, and such as Indonesia also, while others have a special identity because of their diversity. Pakistani culture is a continuation of the Hindu-Muslim civilization of the past. This term, Hindu-Muslim civilization, does not reflect the cultural manifestations of the believers of only two religions, but it absorbs the cultural characteristics of almost all the important religions of India, such as Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Christianity, Ismaili, and Parsi, etc. Hindu-Muslim civilization was a combination of very diverse cultural expressions. Today, even after 70 years of partition of India, the characteristics of this culture remain in two different countries, India and Pakistan. However, there occurred some more changes in its characteristics because of the majority of Muslims in Pakistan. Pakistan consists of a variety of ethnic, geographical, and religious units. There lies the diversion of rural and urban culture also. There lies a remarkable difference in religious beliefs, rituals, customs, anatomy, and language, etc. of its inhabitants. Pakistan, though a Muslim country, hence Sunni and Shia sects historically have deep roots. Sunni Muslims internally have identities like Deobandi, Brelvi, Ahle Hadith, Jamaat Islami, etc. The mentioned religious and communal pluralism is manifested in the form of cultural pluralism. Knowing the proportion of positive and negative effects on social, political, religious, and economic conditions can be an important academic study, which can give the right direction to policies designed to solve the problems of these societies. How does religion, which as being divine and natural, be regarded as the ultimate truth? View this pluralism. What are the positive and useful aspects of cultural pluralism, which can be contributed to social development? What are the negative effects, which are barriers to social development? The present study deals with academic and analytical study of the aforesaid dissertation. Every society has its own peculiarities, have its own culture. Culture is the path of individuals of any society. This process includes values, beliefs, customs, and issues. Societies are known by their cultures. Cultures change over time. When some new values and customs are included, some old are then automatically disappeared over time. Cultural assimilations are a social process by which two or more individuals or groups with different cultures accept two different cultures and follow each other's attitude until they have the identity of different cultures. Social changes happen in every society. Somewhere they have a higher speed and somewhere less. Some years ago, China was a backward nation, and now it is one of the major powers of the world. Each institution has grown rapidly, and the pace of social change is very fast here. To understand the contours of Pakistani cultures correctly, one has to take into account the cultural journey of the last 1,000 years. There is a lot of our arts and sciences, clothes and food, etc., that we have to go back to our past to understand the characteristics of these manifestations. But for the last 1,000 years, Islam has played a very important role in shaping the tip of our culture. Why Islam has played a very important role in shaping the tip of our culture? Just because we believe that Islam is a complete code of life which guides us in all our affairs of our life. So I'm saying that Islam has played a vital role in shaping our culture. The greatest quality of Pakistani culture in its Islamic color is its Islamic color. Islam is the religion of the overwhelming majority of the population. This is a strong link that has programmed the eternal relationship of brotherhood, love, and friendship. Islam urges racial superiority to avoid caste division and regional prejudice. So the people of this area are from other areas to one caste can freely interact with people and have relationship with one another, with each other. At the same time, the treatment of tolerance to minorities in the country is very remarkable. And all manners of conduct according to Islamic teachers are helpful for the unity of the country. Love for the language and for Islam are the main characteristics. The spirit of one of the characteristics of Pakistani culture is its mixing, is its variety, since it is the result of cultural influence of many types of people living here. The impact of the environment around them is evident on the people of each area. These effects are evident in their living standards, in their food. Every cultural group carries with its regional and ethnic customs and ways of living, clothing, and language. All these institutions have gathered at the center of Pakistani culture in the form of establishment, which is the source of our first and last identity, But there are some aspects of Pakistani culture which are harmful to national unity. They are the linguistic and regional bigotry and the religious sectarianism, etc. In a similar name, the difference between believers, believers such as section calling Tawheed, the real principle of faith in the religion, disproves every ideology of any kind that brings a letter to Tawheed. They disapprove every practice, custom that has not taken place in the era of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. So as a result, section considers it a reward to visit the shrines of Awliya Allah, offer prayers, offer sacrifices, perform various other rituals and practices. Whereas to another class, this is contrary to their dogmas, to their creed. So if we deeply analyze the characteristics of Pakistani culture, it is based on Islam, and it based on the local cultural characteristics. If we relate media to these cultural institutions, then we can say that in Pakistan, like some other countries, there are three main media groups, media types: print media, electronic media, and social media. So if we examine Islamic teachings or Islamic manners or Islamic doctrines in media, then we can say that there are very low portion of Islamic teachings in our media. We can say these things only in Ramadan or the occasions which are relating to our Islamic creeds or Islamic rituals, Islamic customs. This thing is only evident in that particular time. So concluding to my discussion, I can say that Pakistan is a country which has very diverse type of people, diverse type of ethnic groups, diverse type of creeds, dogmas, but they all are living here with unity, with harmony, and all this is due to the teachings of Islam, because they are the followers. They claim that they are the followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was the prophet for all the human beings, and which was called by Almighty Rahmatul lil Alamin, yani mercy for all the worlds, for all the universe. So here Muslims usually they intend to live in this with other Muslim, with non-Muslim, with Christians, with Ahmadis, and with other groups such as Hindus, that they should live with them peacefully and with brotherhood, because their religion teach them that they are the followers of Rahmatul lil Alamin. So we can conclude that we should adopt the Islamic teachings if we want to live in the world with peace and prosperity. We can achieve these values only if we can follow the Islam. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Asim Naim from Institute of Islamic Studies, Lahore, Pakistan, has explained us how the assimilation from the Islam and Hindu Muslim civilization in Pakistan, and how Pakistani live now in peace, because uh, it's also affected by the thought of Islam as a religion of Rahmatan lil Alamin. Um, just like another country, they in Pakistan also there are three media that uh, well, for the first is like the printing media, digital media, and also the television media, and also however in the uh, in Pakistan there are so many cultures, but uh, live in peace because the majority of the population is Muslim that follow the Islam and Rahmatan lil Alamin uh, as the religion of Rahmatan lil Alamin. And thank you very much. We already have overview of how the Islamic situation, or how the Islam community in the in four different countries, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, and Pakistan, and also Tunisia, and also from uh, yeah, Malaysia, Indonesia, Tunisia, Malaysia, and from Pakistan. Yes, and now the time is for the question. I believe we already have some of questions that I would like to every speaker to answers. The first is for Mbak Alisa Wahid, I think. Does Mbak Alisa Wahid still with us? Hello, Mbak Alisa. Oh no. So, but I have one question for all speakers. I have one question for all speakers. I would like to uh, read the question is, what is the speaker's response to the Western media framing of Islam, which is described Islam as a terrorist and culprit and full of violence? I think this question is important question and will be answered from different angle of countries. I would like to give the first opportunity to Ibu Siti to Ibu Siti Samsiatun first.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it's a quite heavy question. So to answer that question, I would like to recall the saying of a philosopher that knowledge is power. So when you have knowledge, you have the technology, then you tend to have the opportunity to influence people, to control people's minds. So in the past, when the West is holding knowledge on the geography, on politics, etc., so they're charting the world, and they conquer the world, and the many lands, uncharted land, like in Africa, in Asia, including in Indonesia, then colonize. So power, knowledge at that time with different kind of knowledge of steamboat, etc., etc. So they become power. Right now, when we are in the digital world, where the artificial intelligence is becoming the central point of the media of our relations, so the Internet of Things. So the ones who take control of those technology are become the holder of the power. So right now, without undoubtedly, without doubt, they are not in the hand of Muslims. So the information regarding the lives, regarding the anything about the opponent or proponent of their political interest or will be delivered through the lens of the holders of the controllers. So at the moment, I believe, many politicians around the world, especially in the West, they need a lot of energy, they need a lot of, influence, so they need also need support. So I think the narrative of Islamophobia or the narrative that degrading Islam, portraying Islam in very ugly ways is one of the strategy. That is, if we see it from the control of knowledge on the hand of the knowledgeable. But on the other hand, we also find, people in the West or in the USA or some parts of or anywhere, and who does this kind of acts that can be included in Islamophobia without knowledge because of their ignorance. They don't know. They don't meet any Muslims yet. The information about Islam is only through one channel, maybe from the channel of the political parties or some sort of media that don't like, like Muslim countries, etc., because of different interests. So it could happen in many ways. So how to address this issue? I think on the issue of those who are in control of the knowledge, it is the job or it is the task of the government, like the task of Pak Hikam and friends, to what you call it, like to counter narrative and also to talk fairly about the management of the resources, of the politics, of democracy, of human rights. To address those people who are ignorant, the way to reach them is to engage them, to approach them. So I think PCIM and also PCNU that already exists in several Western countries, like in the USA, in Canada, in Germany, in Germany, in Netherlands, etc., they can be a representatives, could help people to people diplomacy on the issue of this, to erase the Islamophobia. And it can be started by talking something like of common interest, of food, of clothing, of health, of leisure, etc., that Muslims also have fun with them. So I think we have to tackle both sides on the level of high politics, but also on the level of grassroots, mass people to people. So I think that is Mas Rosali from me.
Thank you, Bu Siti Samsiatun, for the response. And I'd like to go. I believe this other speaker from different country have different opinion about the answer of this question. I would like to go to Ibu Fauzia bin El Ghafi. What's your response on this question?
I will answer this question. It's very important to understand why this question is a good issue today, because if Islam is nothing but a religion of terrorism, like some Western narratives say, how comes that many European people decided to change their religion and to search for Islam? The lack of spirituality in Western cultures is a very important reason. So they changed their religion, searching for Rahmatan lil Alamin, for the principles of Islam, which are love, all of the message in Quran, in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, is very rich with spirituality, that people in Western culture are searching for it. So this is a good reason we can answer this Islamophobia with.
Thank you, Bu Fauzia. You mentioned about spirituality, the less spirituality in Europe, in Europe countries. That's an interesting answer. But I would like to go back Mohammed Rashidi. Do you have an opinion to respond the question? How your opinion about the Western media framing of Islam to describe the Islam as a terrorist?
Thank you for the question. I think one part is about the media.
Okay.
And then the one part is about the knowledge. Who describe us? Who define us? We are as the Nusantara, the Malaysian, the Thailand, the Singapore, the Indonesia, the Brunei, and Philippines. In Western country, we have Frankfurt School in German. We have SOS in London. We have School of Oriental and African Studies. When we read the book from the Western writer, some of their writer, the book was very biased about Nusantara. So I think about the question, about the answer, we as a Nusantara, the Malaysian, for example, Professor Syed Hussein Alatas wrote about Nusantara. From Philippines, we have Jose Rizal. In Indonesia, we have like Sojat Moko. We have like Pramudia, Rendra, Kuntu Wijoyo, wrote about Indonesian history, wrote about the Indonesian people. So if they have Frankfurt School, they have a SOS, we also should have the Nusantara School. We have the think tank, the organizer that the Nusantara, which is we ourselves write about ourselves. We write about Malaysian history, the Indonesian history, the Philippines history. So we must counter the narrative from Western. The media is one part, but the knowledge from ourselves, the native knowledge, which is we call as the Nusantara, the Mandiri, School of Mandiri, School of Nusantara. This answer from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Mohammed Rashidi, for the response. The last speaker, Pak Asim. Hello, Pak Asim. Are you still with us? Can you give your opinion, short opinion about to answer the question? What's your response to the Western's media framing of Islam, which is described as terrorist and culprit of and full of violence?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قال الله تعالى في سورة الحجرات إذا جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. In Surah Hujurat, we are advised that if we listen any news regarding any important factor, any important issue, then we should investigate first of all, and then we should give our reaction or give our response. So this is this guideline, although has been given to Muslims in their religious book, but this guideline about media is universal.
Mhm.
It can be applied. It can be applied throughout the world, throughout the media world, that they should be very selective when they broadcast or when they publish or when they write any news about any especially about any religion, about any leader of the religion. As far as concerned with the Western media shaping the Islam, I think unfortunately they are misshaping Islam. They are not presenting Islam in its true manner, are not presenting Islam's true picture. They have as you have listened from the Russian president, that it is not the freedom of that not the right of freedom, that you can target the leader of any religion. He has apparently and very clearly discredited all those newspapers, all those media groups who have present the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a wrong manner. So Western media, media is the eye of the people, and media usually present the news which are liked by the society, and society is influenced by the viewpoints of the thinkers. So it is very sad to say that Western thinkers do not want to understand Islam. If they understand Islam from its original sources, if they read the history of Islam غير جانب, we can say that neutral manner, then they would feel that Islam is a religion of peace. Islam, the word literal meaning is also to come to the land of peace. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has written a letter to the ruler of Egypt, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has written there that Aslim Taslim. If you embrace Islam, you would become in the peace, and you would be the person who is also a sign of peace for all the people. So I am in the view that we as a Muslims, especially the thinkers, the teachers, the researchers, and the policymakers should make policies in which they should focus main media groups of West, and they should give them the statistics of minorities which are living in Muslim countries, and they are living with peace, with prosperity, and they are enjoying all their basic rights. So why Islam is blamed for the action or reaction? Originally, actually, for the reaction of some people, and that is only reaction. We can study all the events in which they call the terrorist events or terrorist attacks. If we study keenly, it would be very clear that they were the reaction. But we say, our deen say, our religion say that no innocent person should be the target of any activity. So we condemned all these incidents in which innocent people were killed or were injured. So, but the Western media should not blame the religion for the actions of any particular person or any particular groups or any particular group. So I think that our responsibility is that we should present Islam from its original teachings, from the we should highlight the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a messenger of peace. We should highlight the life periods of the companions of the Prophet, such as Umar Farooq, who governed the more than half of the world with peace and with prosperity. We should present Sayyidina Usman, we should present Sayyidina Ali, we should present the dynasty of Umayyah, we should present the dynasty of Banu Abbas, we should present the dynasty of Ottoman Empire, in which they regarded all the human rights for all their inhabitants, and the last sentence, and they are the pillars of Islam. We should follow it. Jazakumullah.
Thank you, Dr. Asim Naim, to your answer. Last session, I would like to invite Dr. A.S. Hikam to give his closing remark about our discussions that already we have been through together from the perspective of media, situation of Islamic media in 4 different countries. Time is yours, Pak Hikam. Monggo, Pak. You are still muted.
Okay. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate and quite struck with all of the presentation from the panelists that is, to me, representing different kind of explanation and also experience academically or maybe personally, and also on the ground activities that probably it is still rather difficult to summarize in a very short time regarding the how to solve the problem, and especially when it comes to the question to overcome the prejudice from the West and also from the misunderstanding regarding Islamic religion in relation with what happened in the world. For example, the extreme of violent practices that we also still witnessing today. However, one of the things that I really am attracted to it is the different kind of approach here. For example, the explanation from Dr. Asim Naim and from Fauzia, actually expressing from the theological point of view that when you have this kind of problem, then you need to return to the original messages and also original teaching of Islam. But from the perspective of Indonesia, like Bu Siti Samsiatun, from Alisa, and in a way also from Mr. Rashidi, it seems to me the approach is not only theological, but also the fact on the ground and the experience of the people or Islamic people when they face the situation like that, the practice of violent extremism or maybe even the suspicion from others. And therefore, you have many different kind of explanation and also strategic voices from there. So it seems to me that maybe if it can have a further conferences, they try to approach this problem from different kind of theoretical or philosophical grounds. First, and from theological and from the perspective of the ideological development of Islamic world and also the West. And the second is from really the experience being part of the global South. And when you talk about global South, then probably the idea of misunderstanding and orientalistic kind of opinion from the West will be very clear. And especially when you have a question regarding the attractiveness of conservative Islam compared to the moderate Islam in Indonesia, that's probably coming from the real experience in Islamic world, where the identity politics is very rampant and very clear and become dominant, because part of the explanation is because most of the third world countries governments fail to deliver the promise of democracy, the promise of economic prosperity, and especially the promise of distributing justice. And when you have this kind of experience, especially when the young generation see that kind of problem, then they would refer into what is called as primordial attachment. And that is what identity politics is all about. And the message from the from the Salafis is exactly like that. That we need to return to the, the truer Islam. However, when you talk about the truer Islam, then it can be in a slippery road. Yeah, slippery road, because it's very easy then simply to become a black and white and become a very easy to blame others. And that's why the Z generation has also a problem with what happened when they try to follow that kind of path. So on the one hand, you have a very interesting kind of message from the Salafis, which is that you are going to be a true Muslims and you are very exclusive. You are being very honorable, and you can be in the forefront of our struggle. But on the other hand, this kind of approach will only alienated you from, for example, in Indonesia, from the rest of us, from the nation. And then they become a very, very exclusive and closed kind of Muslim. Yeah, there's identity politics is actually a part of the problem of injustice that's happening in Indonesia. This is different type of injustice that, for example, happening under the colonial situation. So when you see from that kind of perspective, then probably even the prejudice that's now spreading all over the world regarding Islam, regarding the Muslim, can be seen from the perspective that there is still a lot of injustice being done especially between the North and the South. And the media has, perpetuated and also strengthening this kind of injustice by doing that, by doing the stereotype that, for example, people like the late Edward Said's talking about in his book of Orientalism. So that is my answer, and I think the conference here, actually the session on media, is quite lively and quite interesting, because you have several different kind of perspective that maybe will enrich us, but it needs further, explanation and further elaboration in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Elsikam, thank you very much for your closing statement. It's widened our perspective and help us to how to see the situation. Okay. Before I close the session, I would like to thank to the all speakers participant for attending this interesting session. We are glad for having you here, but however, to the all participant in the Zoom or YouTube, don't forget that tomorrow we'll have the last session of the seminar. We are open to everyone who are interested in joining the session, and I'll see you tomorrow. Before we close, I would like to invite you to open your camera to do a photo session. Pak Rasheedy, can you open the camera for us, please? Okay. Let's do this in a good way. Silahkan, operator, dihitung 3, 2,
3, 2, 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Okay.
Once more, thank you, Pak Elsikam. Thank you, Ibu Siti, Pak Nasim, Ibu Fauzia. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good time to discuss with us. And I would like to apologize if I have something wrong that I said, and I lead the discussion. That's all from me. Thank you for having me, everyone.
Thank you all.
I'm Mohammed
Thank
Rashidi.
you all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you all. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih, Mas.
Terima kasih, Ibu.
Assalamualaikum
Pak.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you for everyone.
Inshallah, najma'u fil jannah, inshallah.
Insyaallah. Pak Asim.
Amin.
Syukran.
Insyaallah. Insyaallah.
Mr. Azul, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Fauzia.
Thank you.
Majority of Muslims know that Islam means blessing for the universe, or Rahmatan. The implementation of Islam is nurtured as wider as possible for many Muslim communities. The concept of Rahmatan, or the blessing for the universe, is prior to be fostered in various Muslim majority countries. The ulama and ulama continuously promote Islamic ideas and practices which contain the value of tolerance, peace, coexist with the principle of human rights, hand in hand with local cultures for every day, and compatible with the universe. Consistent in disseminating and practicing gender and charming Islam plays key role in maintaining Islam as a religion of peace. To provide a dynamic and fruitful discussion, INFIT, as the initiator, collaborate with Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah, inviting various Islamic organizations in Pakistan, Malaysia, and Tunisia to join together. The discussion aims to share experiences and efforts that have made by the 4 countries in strengthening understanding and practice of Islam as Rahmatan. Islam in Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, and Tunisia would become notable and influential image for global society. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the international seminar, Building International Cooperation to Reinforce Commitments and Practices of Islam as Rahmatan and Alamin.
Thank you.